guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here, my name is Faith. I talk about anything from Jesus to my lifestyle, but I really truly share a lot of testimonials, a lot of stories, and hope that others will be delivered out of encouragement because God has delivered me, and I love to share the stories and the experiences I have with you guys in hopes that you get closer to Him. So here we go. Why is it important to keep your relationship sacred? So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. And many of you guys have been following me for the last couple of years. You know, I was single for 7 years. I was abstinent for those 7 years, and I spent a lot of my time deconstructing the things that I had learned in my childhood about my walk with Christianity that was so different once I got to of age and I really dedicated my life back to God and really start living out His word. And so I've learned now that I've had a life online prior to marriage, and I still have a life online now after marriage, but I really learned how important it is to keep your relationship sacred. Over these last couple of years, I think everybody has seen this. You see so many different forms of content creators. You see so many different forms of people online. People who post content about their marriage, people who post content about their life in every detail and facet. And me, myself, I am a very transparent person. I am a very much of an open book, and that's just who I am. I truly believe when God has healed me from someplace, I love to share my testimony with other people, because in my heart of our hearts, I love to see people healed and see people receive that revelation of it is more to their life than just their trauma, especially me being somebody who comes from trauma myself and has experienced a lot of sexual abuse, a lot of abuse up into adulthood. And it took me, it seemed like forever before I really understood what deliverance was, where I really understood what deliverance looked like in my day-to-day life. It took me a long time to discover what it was like to have an identity outside of my sexual trauma and abuse that I had experienced, because I grew up with parents who were just, from the 60s, born in the 60s, and in rural Mississippi, who really didn't even know what therapy was. One of those common Black households where what's spoke about in this house is not discussed outside of this house. And I think a lot of people can attest to that. So it's always my passion to be transparent. It's always my passion to be an open book. If God allows me to share, I will share it. But even in this journey, I have discovered that some things are meant to be sacred. A lot of you guys know I got married. I actually shared that in one of my previous posts. One of my previous videos, I shared some of my wedding photos, and I even shared some on my Instagram. And a lot of people were shocked. I got a lot of messages because a lot of people did not know I was even dating someone, let alone had got engaged. You know, when the engagement happened, I received so much feedback from so many people. But it was because I had spent so much of my 20s and so much of my younger years getting relationships wrong. When I rededicated my life back to God, I wanted to make sure wholeheartedly I was hearing from Him. Now, it was a little bit of people who knew we were dating, like people that we trusted in and people who gave us wise counsel. But other than those handful of people, I didn't announce it on my social media. I didn't announce it anywhere, on any platform. I didn't even tell people when I would see them in person. So I think people just assumed that I was still single because I didn't parade it around. And anytime that we would go on dates or we would do anything together, spend any time together, I never posted it about it. So any post that I did, I think I made one post about him before, but it was like a cute little friendship post, and the people who knew us got it. But anybody else just would have assumed it was just a post on my social media. But I lost a lot of friends. I lost a friend behind that, one or two friends behind that. And I also kind of transitioned in my mindset behind that. Me getting engaged really made me hone in a little bit more about why the secret place is so important. Like I said, you see so many people who make content on social media, and they share a lot of things about their relationships. They share a lot of things about their home life and different things like that. And I love to do that sometimes too, when it comes to sharing recipes, when it comes to different information or wisdom God may have given me. but some things in my marriage will be kept private, and that's just what it is. And not because I don't want to share certain things with certain people, but it's just like when we're having a relationship with God and we're going into our prayer closet and we're going to pray, that is the quiet, secret place. That place is meant for us in the Holy Spirit. It's not meant for the world to see. It's like when you're fasting. You don't need to announce to the world that you're fasting. That is for you and God to do, unless it's a corporate fast or something of that nature, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. And I feel like so many times we become so distracted with the things that go on social media. I don't ever want to lead anyone astray, and I feel like so many people make content about things that they aren't necessarily living, and it leaves the person on the other end that is viewing it to believe or to grieve something that they think that they're supposed to have, and that person posting it is not even living like that anyways. And I think we have to just be so mindful this year of taking everything back to God, taking back the things that we want to share with other people back to God. And I'm not just speaking of romantically, I'm just speaking of that perspective because this is a new area that I'm at in my life for the last year. But I'm also speaking about friendships. When I lost one of my friends due to me being engaged, and it was over something that had nothing to do with had nothing to do with the issue within our relationship. It was over the simple fact because she didn't know everything that was going on with my life, and so she kind of felt like we wouldn't have anything to relate to now that I was engaged and she was still single, which, I mean, it's crazy, but it really allowed me to see why certain people were in my life. Certain people wait around to see if you're gonna have those things that you're praying about, if the favor in your life is really there. Is God gonna really allow this to happen? And then you have people who are naysayers, who stay beside you because they see that you're trying to walk this thing out and they see that you're believing, but they're hoping that you don't make it there. And when you do, it's a form of discouragement to them. And that same friend try to come back around and continue the friendship after the fact, and I just had to politely let it go. It's no love lost there, no bad blood, but I'm using that as an example to say your relationships are meant to be cherished far beyond just the purpose of allowing people to see what you do, allowing people to know you at the surface level, but it's for kingdom work. And at my ripe age of 35, I was speaking to my sister about this the other day. I do not have any desire to have any new friends if it's not God placing them in my path. I'm very adamant about having intentional people around me because iron sharpens iron. You can only do so much in faith with the people around you. So if the people around you have no faith, or they're doing things that really don't matter to the end goal or the purpose of their life, it is a waste of time. And I think at 35, I'm just looking for more intentionality. I'm looking for more purpose. I'm looking for more centeredness in my relationship with God, and even around in my relationship with my friends. So it's just like I'm very, very, very particular about what I'm choosing to do and what I'm choosing to give my attention to, because distraction is set at all-time high more than any time. And I want to be sure that I am focused on what God is calling me to focus on and not distracted by the people around me, because I feel like I spent my 20s doing that. I was so distracted by having fun and not missing a moment, and the fear of missing out, and seeing what everybody else is doing and trying to keep up with that. And that's really a facade. It fades at a certain point. You want sustainability. You want something of substance, of purpose in your life. So this is just my challenge to you guys, to challenge you to pray for your friendships, to pray for God to bring the right people around you, to bring your destiny fillers, to have the proper relationships, whether it be romantically, whether it be platonically, whatever it may be. And I know a lot of people say they don't have time to pray, or they have a hard time praying, but this is one thing: if you catch yourself strolling on social media throughout the day, that's the time you could be setting up with your friends to do a quick FaceTime call to pray for them. Me and my girlfriend, we actually audio each other during the day when we want to speak to one another, but we might probably moving around the house or working with our clients where we don't have time to talk on the phone, or we don't have time to text back physically. We're audio each other on our iPhones and talking or praying or revealing different things that God has told us for one another, or just simply relating to whatever point or place we're at in our current lives. So I want to challenge you this week to find you a friend, get you somebody that you're in close connection with, that you can pray for, that can pray for you, that you trust, that God has told you that you can confide in them. That way you can be vulnerable. You can let them know what's on your heart or something that you need prayer for. Maybe it's distraction. Maybe you're spending too much time on social media. That's something that I had to do earlier this year in January. I took like a 3 or 4 week sabbatical and just kind of derailed from social media for a while. I would hop on for maybe 5 minutes, post what I had to do for business, but literally put my phone down because I wanted to make it a habit to give God my first fruit every day. And what I mean by that, just wake up, journal, get in my word, and make sure I'm receiving what God wants me to receive for that day before I started my day. And not get distracted, because it's so easy just to fall back into old habits. It's so easy just to grab our phones in the morning, check our emails, check our text messages, click that Instagram app or TikTok or whatever, and just stroll. And now we're in this endless cycle of strolling. So this is just my challenge to you, to go deeper in your relationships with the people around you that can draw you deeper to God ultimately, because if you have the right people around you, they're going to be leading you to the right place. And that's the number one thing, and that's a simple question you could ask yourself is, are these people leading me to where I want to go? Are they leading me to where God is calling me? And if that answer is no, I think that's enough of an answer right there to know what type of relationship you're in. And not to just say cut anybody completely off or look sideways at anybody, but take time to pray for that person and ask God to show you the intentionality behind your relationship, and ask God to draw that person closer to Him, that they may come to discover more things about their self and their purpose. So I just want to leave this with you guys, because like I said, I will always be transparent. I'll always be an open book, but make sure that we are checking ourselves before we're hopping on here and we're just posting things, that it is something purpose of bringing those people closer to Him. So that's all I gotta say. I don't want to make this video too long, but I am gonna come back on here and talk about my abstinence journey that I had for the 7 years, because I feel like I see people who still comment on the video and still ask me about that to this day. And now that I'm on the other side of the threshold, I want to just kind of give my understanding of what God has spoken to me about with that, and also how I even navigated that journey, especially being someone who lives in Atlanta. That's a whole nother story. So I'm gonna make a video about that this week, but otherwise you guys have a great start to your Monday. Make sure you're using the rest of this Sunday to reset, repurpose your time, and get in that word and spend some time with God so you can start off your week with intentionality. I love you guys so much. Peace out.